So, I thought it was time to step outside of the studio, step outside of the office, and in this episode, I am going to do a walk and talk. So if you are watching this on YouTube, not just listening to the podcast, you'll get to join me as I walk through downtown in one of the most beautiful cities in Oregon, one of my favorite places. And we are going to talk in this episode today about a key question. It's something that people seem to bring up, and some people are afraid of, and some people are not. And that is, will the insurtech companies and technology put insurance agents out of business? Well, I've actually recently done some of my own work in this to get a taste of what it's like to run some numbers, and that's what I want to share with you in this episode. So, you ready to take a walk with me through this awesome spot as we talk about the wonderful world of being in an insurance agency? Well, get ready, because it's going to be an exciting episode. So you know what to do. Sit down, buckle up, because here we go. Hey everybody, it's your host here, Dave Baker with Planet of the Agents. I'm super happy to have you here with me on another episode. In this episode, we are going to take a walk together through Portland, Oregon, one of my favorite cities. I'm fortunate enough that I do get to travel around, and I do get to bring my camera and setup with me so that we can, have a little fun while we talk about all of the exhilaration and excitement in the world of running an insurance agency. Now, if you're first time on the channel or first time on the show, podcast, wherever you are listening, make sure that you tap the little like button and of course subscribe to the show. On YouTube, click the little bell. If you want to reach out to me, well, it's very easy. I've added a new feature where on the website, planetoftheagents.com, you can click the contact me button and it will be found probably on the top of the page, the easiest place to find it. Of course, lastly, make sure you're signed up for the newsletter, because that is where I send out some really cool information. And coming soon, you're going to see some more information about not just the agency resources section of the website, which I think is really cool, but some of the perks and benefits that I am having added as well for our members. Okay, so let's talk about this. It's a big topic. I mean, it's been around forever. What is up with these insurtech companies? The online binding. Can you bind everything online that they can? Probably not. Can your customers just magically go to a link that you have where they can just quote and bind online? Probably not. Maybe in a few cases, but I know that's not the standard. Usually, you will have to probably talk on the phone with somebody or send them a series of emails. Or depending on how modern you are, you might be sending them text messages. And I hope that you are using texting, by the way. You don't want to miss that opportunity because it's a modern way to communicate. Of course, make sure you have all the permissions set up, by the way, before you just jump into texting. I'm not talking about mass texting people. I'm talking about responding to client requests. And I think that the results from that are very interesting. A lot of people have told me who do a lot of texting with their clients that it's working out really well. Okay, so let's talk about this. Are these companies going to cannibalize all your business? Are the online binding websites, are the APIs, are even the mega agencies who are doing a lot of work with the APIs going to crush you? Well, I had mixed feelings about this for a variety of reasons. One thing that really got my attention, okay? By the way, if you're watching this on video, I'm gonna have to look around a little because there's some treacherous parts I might be walking through, and I don't feel like taking a swim while I make this episode unintentionally. Okay, so here's the deal. I was at this event for the travel industry, and I heard somebody, a big representative for one of these like major hotel and resort chains, say something like, I'm going to paraphrase it here, about 28 to 30% of the travel to our resort chain is booked online. I was like taken aback. Did she just say 28 to 30%? I thought she was going to say 90%. And travel has been online for a long time. And booking travel online is very different than just buying insurance, right? Because obviously insurance companies have risk when a policy is sold. I mean, you buy a general liability policy online and a claim could be filed for $1 million. Who knows what could happen, right? That might not even count things like defense outside the limits. So that was shocking to me. I mean, I cannot tell you how shocking that was. That like blew my mind. I really thought they were going to say it was a huge percentage. So, okay, so I'd heard that, right? I was at that event, and that was like a real eye-opener for me. So the next thing was I saw a lot of different things come out. Now, you know that, personal lines carriers have been selling auto online for a while. You don't see a lot of homeowners insurance sold online. And now we see more and more commercial coming, including from like big name companies. Companies that are, captive companies. I see that they have available purchases online. I see carriers that work with independent agents. They have products available online. They may be assigning them to an agent, but in any case, it's very different. And I would think generally that the goal is to remove the middleman, remove the agent when they can to save money. So this is what happened. This was my personal experience here. The first thing I did was got access to some of these types of products. And one is a product where you can send a quote directly to an applicant or a potential insured. They can then click and buy it, and then you get credit for the sale. And I thought, this is amazing. What if you could get like 1,000 people, send them all quotes, and let's say 15% buy? I mean, that would be amazing, right? You could really close a lot of business that way. And so long as the product is a good quality and the policy form is what you're looking for and it meets their needs and they're happy with it, I thought that was an amazing opportunity. So I tried it, but I didn't pay much attention to the results. Now, by the way, I do want to say, if you are interested in getting access to digital products, things you can quote online with rapid quoting and binding and the ability to send these emails and to do things with this type of software, well, make sure that you are signed up with me, because that is something that we have. We have the ability to give you access so that you can earn commissions as a licensed agent, of course. It's not just for anybody, but it is something that you can access. That is part of one of the awesome benefits that I have. Okay, so what happened? Now, I didn't analyze the data deeply. And then I heard one of my carrier reps tell me something about a big company. It's what I call like a mega agency. Now, I'm not talking about what some people call the alpha houses, the ones that clear close to $1 billion in premium. Let's not go that extreme. Let's talk about some of these agencies that have 50 or 60 locations, even 20 locations, huge call centers. They have their own support centers, all that type of stuff. This carrier rep, this is probably the second or third carrier rep that brought up an API, application program interface. If you don't know what that means, it's where you can integrate their software for quoting and binding into your website. So I thought, wow, well, now these independent agencies that are huge are doing this, and they're bringing a lot of people to their website. They are going to be able to close a ton of business. Okay, so I thought, wow, that's really the future. Maybe I should be working on that. Maybe I should be helping agents get into that. That would help them close a ton of business. I like to keep stressing this a ton of business thing, because that's what I thought. I thought that it was going to just really, really ramp up. So what happened in summer of this year, summer of 2022? The headlines started coming out, right? And they said things like layoffs in the insurtech industry. Multiple companies, including some that I do things with, have had layoffs. And I was surprised. I was surprised how many of these companies had announced layoffs. And I thought to myself, well, if they're writing so much business, what is going on? I realized they might have losses that they bring to the carrier, right, affecting loss ratios. But aren't those companies making money? Well, first of all, one of the first things I did is I looked at how much it costs to pay for a click, also known as PPC marketing, right? Pay per click. Have you ever looked at how much it costs to get a click in the insurance industry on Google or on some of these search engines? Oh, it's like one of the most expensive things that you can market online. I mean, if you want to market a coffee pot online, you're going to pay, you might pay pennies. You want to market insurance online and you want to get a click and you want to be on the top of a search engine, like so many companies magically tell me they can get me without ever spending a dime. Well, I've seen clicks at $75. Did you catch that? $75. But let's say that's on the high side. Say it's $50 a click, okay? How many digital bops do these companies need to sell? How many general liability policies do you need to sell? Even if their commission's 30%. Say they sell a $400 policy, $500 policy even. Say their commission's 25%, okay? Let's just use that number. Say they make $125, which I would think is on the high side, but I'm just using a high number so we can do some digging here. What if they had to get 10 or 20 clicks to get one sale? Well, they would be at a loss for many years, right? Very interesting. Okay. Okay. So I thought to myself, look at some of the data you have. I actually have quite a bit of data. I have a number of people who click to get a quote, number of people who purchase, right? So my quote to bind ratio is something that I can calculate. And this was like a major eye-opener. Let me tell you one more thing that happened before I started digging into the data. My tech friend said to me, you should really build this stuff out. This is the future. And I'm not saying it's not the future. I'm just saying I'm not as worried as I once was. So he wanted to build a product, and he is a developer, so he's very knowledgeable in this stuff. My development skills are at nowhere near the level of him. He's a very advanced. I'm more of a very casual, light front end type of developer. I wouldn't call myself a developer. I don't even know why I'm using that word. I can build some websites. We'll just say that. So what happened was, I started digging into the data, and then I also asked another acquaintance of mine for some data as well. What I found with my own data was that for about 350 quotes, that was my sample size, that were done digitally, meaning online, maybe they were click to bind type of things on the web, there were about 8 or 10 binders. Did you catch that? Out of 356 quotes, there were about 8 or 10 binders. Let's talk about that in percentage ratio. Let's talk about it in percentages. Those numbers are incredibly small. We are talking about binding less than 3%, right? So if you bind 3 out of 100, that would be 3%. So say we bound 10 out of 350. That's less than 3%. Less than 3% bind ratio. How would you feel if you spent your human time, your human energy, your personal time, your life, and you only bound 3 out of 100? Wow. Now, a computer doesn't get tired, works 24 hours a day. It's a little bit different. So I thought to myself, okay, well, this thing doesn't work very well. Is it the web page? Is it human nature? What is it? So I thought, okay, maybe it's a commercial product. Maybe people they're just not doing that. They're just tire kicking or just, glancing here and there at things. So then I got some data from a personal lines company, and I said, hey, can you just tell me vaguely? You don't have to give me any company names or anything. I mean, agency names. Just let me know how many quotes and how many binds did you see? So I get the numbers, and it was over 100,000 quotes and around 3,000 or less binds. Let's do the math together once again, right? What just happened? 3%. Again, 3%. And this is out of a sample size of 100,000. I'm not talking about 300 quotes. I'm talking about 100,000 plus quotes. So when you think about that, well, that's very reassuring for the wonderful world of independent agents out there, and you captive agents who are listening too. That's another awesome number. Why is that? Because it means that the threat, if you will, is much, much less than I ever thought it would be. And people want to film me while I'm filming. Isn't that funny? Okay, so I was worried that people are going online binding like crazy. But what's actually happening is it seems they're getting a lot of quotes. So what's the point of all this information? The point is, I wouldn't worry as much. I know there are those of you out there who are worried. Some people have told me, oh, Dave, it's only a matter of time before we're all gone. It's all going to just be done online. But I don't think so. especially the more I see these numbers. Then I did another interesting study where I looked at some other numbers that were not, okay, these are not as official because they're not measured in the same way with the same technology and same metrics. But what I saw in this next batch of information was what happened when humans interacted. So I looked at a sample, very small sample size, about 100 quotes. And I was told that out of 100 quotes that had a human interaction, meaning someone called on the phone, someone spoke with the prospect, talked to the client, they closed about 40 to 50% of the business. Wow, what a difference. I mean, is that not significant? To me, those numbers are very significant. In this example, it was back to small business insurance. So our general liability, miscellaneous professional liability, BOPS, your business owner's policy. It was, I mean, the numbers are just astounding to me. So where did I leave all this? Well, I feel a lot better for the future. But you know what else makes me feel better? The market is changing right now. And I'm seeing more things move to surplus and more things move to hard to place. And while that might be a little bit frustrating for those of you who love to bind online all the time for your clients, well, that means that you stay relevant. Because one thing to remember is, even though it's not efficient, the system of doing business with surplus and brokers and wholesalers, etc., is that the money is in the inefficiency, and that gives you a continued role in the business. So that's today's episode. I wanted to share this information with you because it is something that comes up in conversation quite a bit. I also wanted to take a walk through the city with you. I hope you're watching this on YouTube. You can find it by searching for Planet of the Agents on YouTube. What often comes up, by the way, is the logo instead of a video for some reason. So once you see the logo, click it, then click subscribe. Now, of course, if you want to reach out to me, all you have to do is go to planetoftheagents.com. You can easily click the contact button, share your stories, share your questions, tell me what you'd like to hear in the next episode. Lastly, make sure you are signed up for the newsletter, because I want to share more information than just the weekly episodes that are coming out of the show. I have a lot of ideas and things I need to send you links for, things to read about. And like I mentioned, if you are interested in signing up to get access to some online quoting and binding systems, then you can do that when you sign up for the newsletter, because you're going to get a link. Okay, everybody, make sure you like and subscribe, because that really makes my day. I will talk to you all in the next episode. Take care.